As I settled comfortably into the chair, my daughter, Emily, suddenly came running up to me. She looked extremely flustered, and sweat was forming on her forehead.
Mom, we need to get out of here right now. Look at this.
As she said this, she showed me a slightly thicker gift envelope she was carrying. What's going on?
Just come with me.
Before I could react, she stood me up and led me out of the venue. Today was my granddaughter Sarah's wedding. The weather was perfectly clear, not a cloud in the sky, as if the heavens themselves were celebrating with us. Yet here Emily was, looking shocked at that gift envelope.
I never imagined something like this would happen at my daughter's wedding. I wanted you to see it, Mom.
She stared at the gift envelope, visibly shaken. I was at a loss for how to respond, not understanding what was happening, and Emily opened the gift envelope and took out its contents. I wondered what she was doing, and what came out was completely unexpected. What is this? A feeling of disbelief surged in me, followed closely by a feeling of outrage. This was a betrayal of my granddaughter. Why would something like this be here? A strange anger, like the kind you feel when you yourself are wounded, started to well up inside me. However, I was surprisingly calm. Instead of running away from this, let's face the problem head on. Whether my advice struck a chord with her or not, Emily's earlier distress vanished, and she looked me in the eye. My name is Melissa. A while ago, I celebrated my 70th birthday, and now I spend my days in quiet solitude. My husband passed away years ago, and on the anniversary of his death each year, I pour a beer into his favorite glass. Then, I looked at the photo of my husband from his 60th birthday celebration. I'm already 72 now. I heard that an ancient Chinese poet once said it's rare for people to live to 70. Before that, I felt like there was something else. But what was it? With this in my mind, I took the opened can of beer to the kitchen. At my age, it seems I talk to myself more and more. Even though I'm the only one in the houses, I mutter things like, "We're out of tomato sauce," or "I wonder how the neighbors are doing." It's fine when nobody is around, but when my granddaughter Sarah comes over, she always laughs at me for it.
"Grandma, you're talking to yourself again,"
Sarah said with a giggle, her voice like a tinkling bell. It was just the other day, too. Sarah is a lovely girl with big blue eyes. I sometimes introduce her to my neighbors, and we also chat on the phone or go out together. At some point, we even started doing video calls. She often visits me, and we go out for lunch at a cafe near the station or do some shopping. I thought she was still a student, but then she told me she's already a working adult. Her growth has really surprised me. She should be spending time with her friends, not with me. When I tell her that, Sarah narrows her big blue eyes.
"Spending time with my friends is important, but spending time with you, Grandma, is just as important."
She smiles and takes my hand, leading me into a boutique. "But don't you have any boyfriend or something?"
"I do have someone I'm dating right now."
This was news to me. Sarah picks up earrings and holds them up in front of the mirror or reaches for a hair accessory, looking so happy.
"His name is Ryan. He's really tall and a wonderful person. His freckles are his charm point."
I see. That explains why she seemed so cheerful lately. A girl in love just seems happy and carefree, all on her own. I remembered how it was the same when I was young and in love with my husband. It's strange how everything seems to sparkle when you're in love. I'm sure, right now, everything seems bright and joyful to Sarah, too. It's wonderful to be in love.
Oh, Grandma, you're too much.
She told me she met Ryan shortly after she joined her current company. He's a salesman and very good at his job. One day, he asked her, "Could you help me prepare some documents?" And that's how they grew close. Sarah is beautiful, so I imagine he couldn't ignore her. But he seemed quite busy, and his schedule was always full. Even though their days off didn't match up often, they found time to go out to eat, sing karaoke, and spend time together.
Next week is our 1-year anniversary.
She said that with a bright smile. It's so nice to be young. Her happiness made me smile too. A week passed after that conversation, and I went out with Sarah again. That day, we were in a stylish, hidden-away cafe, chatting over coffee. Apparently, places with a retro interior are popular among young people these days because they look great on social media. Sarah ordered a pancake with ice cream and took pictures with her smartphone. For some reason, today she seemed even happier than usual. Her smile never faded, and she seemed even more joyful than when I last saw her. "Sarah, you seem in a great mood today. What's up?" She suddenly looked up and started to speak.
Actually, I got proposed to.
She said that with her cheeks flushed and a dazzling smile. I blinked in surprise and looked at Sarah. "Oh, and what did you say?" I urged her on, my heart pounding.
Of course, I said yes. It felt like a dream.
She still couldn't believe it, touching her cheek as she recalled the moment. She said Ryan proposed to her at a restaurant with a beautiful view of the city lights.
I've never seen him look so serious before.
"Congratulations, Sarah. Really, congratulations." With a smile mixed with happiness and a bit of embarrassment, she looked down.
I never thought I'd be a bride. I don't feel ready.
"You'll be fine. You've got me by your side. And you have Emily too, don't you?" Emily is my daughter and Sarah's mother. She works as a bridal planner and always says June is especially busy. Of course, Sarah had already told Emily about her engagement, and the ceremony was going to be held at the venue where Emily works. For a while after talking with Sarah, we didn't go out or call each other. She was busy with greetings between both families and preparing for the ceremony. Even on top of her regular work, she must have had her hands full. I remembered how hectic things were during Emily's wedding, and I could only smile wryly at the thought that she must be going through the same now. But with a happy occasion ahead, I'm sure she thinks nothing of it for her daughter's sake. I wonder what kind of person Ryan is. I hope he's someone who will cherish Sarah. While I was thinking about that, I received a call from Sarah. She said she was coming over, and she was bringing her fiancé. Could that really be happening? I waited nervously. One afternoon, Sarah came over, bringing Ryan with her. I never thought I'd meet him before the ceremony.
Sorry for the sudden visit. This is my fiancé, Ryan.
Nice to meet you. You must be Sarah's grandmother.
He was tall and had a gentle demeanor. I invited them into the house and prepared tea and sweets. Though it was autumn, The lingering summer heat made iced coffee the perfect choice today. I hope this suits your taste, but please help yourselves. How long had it been since anyone other than my granddaughter visited? Even my neighbors, I hadn't seen them in months. The house, which had felt a little lonely, suddenly seemed full of life, and my spirits lifted.
Ryan said he wanted to meet you, Grandma, and greet you in person.
Oh, there's no need for that. You must be busy with work.
Not at all. Thank you for making the time for us.
As Sarah mentioned, his freckles were indeed his charm point, and his gentle smile gave a very good impression. After chatting about various things, like the news and hobbies, the two of them left.
Please come to our wedding, Grandma.
Sarah said that as she was leaving with such a truly happy smile. Actually, it wasn't just when she was leaving. She had been smiling the entire time she was here with Ryan. I could tell she truly loved and cherished him. Meeting this young couple made me feel as if I had grown younger too. Maybe there's something you can only gain from being around people like them. I spoke to my husband in heaven. You know, our little Sarah is getting married. I'll go see her on her big day for both of us. It almost seemed like the photo of my husband in the bedroom was smiling gently. After that, I hardly heard from Sarah anymore. Without going out with my granddaughter, I visited a boutique by myself, and I also went to some of the places she and I had visited together. Everywhere I went, I saw families or kids Sarah's age hanging out, and just watching them made me smile. I went into that retro hidden cafe and ordered a coffee. Jazz played softly inside, creating a somewhat nostalgic atmosphere. Nostalgic? I felt a slight sense of unease at that moment and realized that perhaps I was feeling just a little lonely now. Up until just a month ago, I had been going out to various places with Sarah, but now I was alone. Even the jazz that was playing in the background, which I had been listening to absent-mindedly, suddenly felt lonely. It's strange how our emotions can change the way we perceive things. Some high school girls aimed their smartphones at their pancakes with ice cream a short distance away. They took photos from different angles, and when they were done, they began chatting about dating talk. Their excitement and youthfulness were so fresh and full of promise. It made me think of their future. They will meet many more people, and just like my granddaughter or my daughter, they'll eventually find someone to share their lives with. In any era or place, a girl in love always seems to shine with their happiness. Watching them out of the corner of my eye, I stood up, leaving the cafe with a wistful feeling. Then one day, I received a call from Sarah after a long while. She said the preparations for her wedding were moving along. Her voice was cheerful, and I could hear the happiness in her words. But after a short pause, she lowered her tone.
Hey, Grandma. I'm wondering if it's okay to keep going like this.
Huh. What do you mean? Was it pre-wedding jitters? Emily had said something like that before her wedding, too. I remembered feeling strangely relieved when I read in a magazine that it was something everyone goes through. But in Sarah's case, it seemed a bit different.
Well, lately, I feel like Ryan's been acting cold.
I had heard they were living together, but recently, Ryan would come home late and go straight to the bedroom without saying a word. Sarah wanted to discuss the wedding plans, even just a little, and hoped he would help with making the guest list. But even on their days off, he would go out during the day, and they hadn't had a proper conversation about why he was being distant. Why is he like this? Is he really that busy with work?
No, I don't think so. He did say something about a promotion, but still.
It seemed there was something else bothering her. When I encouraged her to talk about it, she lowered her voice.
I saw Ryan exchanging friendly messages with someone. I happened to see it.
With who?
I don't know, but it could be someone he's seeing behind my back.
She suspected infidelity, but didn't want to believe it. I found it hard to believe that someone as nice as Ryan would cheat on Sarah. I thought she might have discussed it with Emily, but apparently Sarah hadn't been able to bring it up.
Mom's really excited and working so hard to prepare everything, so I can't bring myself to tell her.
As a mother, Emily couldn't help but throw herself into making her daughter's big day perfect. Moreover, Sarah said that her impression of Ryan's family wasn't very good either. When she went to introduce herself, they grudgingly approved of the marriage, and afterward, they had been quite overbearing. Ryan, on the other hand, had kept his head down and didn't speak up for her. He wasn't the type to talk back to his parents, apparently. She was worried sick about whether she could get along with his family if she went through with the marriage. Hearing about this engagement gave me nothing but a sense of unease. However, this was between the two of them, so there was very little I could say. Sarah, listen to me carefully.
What?
I hope it doesn't come to this, but you should sit down and have a proper conversation with Ryan before the wedding. I understand that she didn't want to doubt him. But if she went through with the wedding while he was hiding an affair, what would await her afterward would be nothing short of a nightmare. If she needed to reconsider marrying him, now was the time, I advised her. Sarah nodded, saying, yes, as she listened to me.
Got it. I'll talk to him.
I felt something like determination in her voice. Perhaps just talking about it had cleared away some of her doubts and confusion, like a fog lifting. After that conversation, there were no follow-up calls or messages seeking advice. Sarah is gentle and not the kind of person who can assert herself strongly. I was a little worried about whether she had managed to have a proper talk with Ryan, but time flew by, and finally, the wedding day arrived. I made my way to the venue, still carrying a sense of unease. The weather that day was perfectly clear, without a single cloud in the sky. It was a fitting backdrop for my granddaughter's big day, as if even the weather was celebrating with us. As I greeted various people, I looked around for Emily or Sarah, but couldn't find them anywhere.
Grandma.
I turned at the familiar voice to see Sarah in her wedding dress and Ryan in his groom's suit. Sarah looked radiant, without a trace of the anxiety she had during our phone call. I felt a slight sense of relief. Oh my, you both look wonderful. Congratulations, truly. Sarah blushed and smiled brightly. In contrast, Ryan looked tense, not even cracking a smile. After exchanging a few words, we parted ways. Ryan's distant demeanor made it hard to believe he was the same person I had met before. Had Sarah managed to properly talk to him? But the fact that they made it to this day meant they had talked and resolved their issues, right? With those thoughts, I decided to wait for the ceremony to begin. As I settled comfortably into my seat, Emily suddenly came running up to me. She looked extremely flustered, with sweat on her forehead.
Mom, we need to get out of here right now. Look at this.
As she said this, she showed me a slightly thicker gift envelope she was carrying. What's going on?
Just come with me.
Before I could react, she stood me up and led me out of the venue. Not understanding what was happening, I followed her brisk pace out of the venue. Once outside, she pointed to the gift envelope she had been holding.
This.
I was at a loss for how to react, and Emily opened the envelope and took out its contents. I wondered what she was doing, and what came out was a stack of photos. What is this? I was stunned as I looked at them. They were all photos of Ryan with an unfamiliar woman, walking closely together near the station, coming out of shops, and so on. As I kept looking, there were also multiple screenshots of messages exchanged between the woman and Ryan. It was clear from the content that these exchanges had been going on for a long time, not just for a day or two. I was shaken and instinctively looked at Emily. Emily shook her head slightly, as if to say, "I can't believe it. These are proof of Ryan's affair, aren't they?"
No doubt about it. I have no idea how they ended up in there, though.
Apparently, Emily's junior colleague, who was working at the reception, had noticed the unusual thickness of the envelope and informed her. Neither Emily nor I could have anticipated something like this.
I never imagined something like this would happen at my daughter's wedding. I wanted you to see it, Mom.
She stared at the envelope and the photos, visibly shaken. Her expression showed she was torn about whether to proceed with the ceremony or call it off. After all, this was her daughter's big day, and many of Ryan's colleagues were present. What course of action should she take in this situation? At that moment, I remembered the time Sarah had called me. Ryan had been exchanging friendly messages with someone else. There was a possibility he was having an affair. Her instincts had been right. On top of that, the person who had given this gift envelope was troubling me. The name Anna was written on the envelope. Could this be the very person Sarah had mentioned before, Ryan's affair partner? I had a gut feeling it was.
We should call off this wedding immediately. Don't you agree, Mom?
Still visibly upset, Emily looked to me for agreement. Should we call off the wedding? For a moment, I thought so too, but then another thought crossed my mind. Could this be an opportunity? With all the key people gathered here, now was the time to bring all the facts to light. No, Emily, we must not stop the wedding. I was surprisingly calm. Instead of running away, let's face the problem head on. Whether my advice resonated with her or not, Emily's previous look of distress faded, and she looked at me. It was the face of a mother determined to protect her daughter.
You're right. We can't just ignore this.
But how should we proceed? To avoid hurting Sarah, we needed to move carefully. It seemed Emily agreed and was thinking things through even more thoroughly than I was. Let's head back to the venue for now. I just hope this Anna hasn't caused any trouble yet. I glanced at the woman in the photos that had been in the envelope. She had straight black hair cut into a short bob and looked very much like a career woman. She was a pretty, ordinary-looking person. At a glance, she didn't seem like someone who would try to steal someone else's fiance. Would we be able to find her in the venue? Maybe I should have brought binoculars. I muttered that to myself silently. Emily and I hurried back to the venue and quickly scanned the scene. A peaceful atmosphere of conversation filled the room, and everyone was gathered in groups, chatting here and there. Among them was Ryan, laughing with several men who seemed to be his colleagues. The young man I had first met was behaving as if nothing had happened. But now we knew he had another relationship besides the one with Sarah. Emily still held onto the envelope.
Mom, how should we tell Sarah about this?
As we whispered to each other, a woman suddenly walked past us. It was Anna. She didn't seem to notice us as she walked confidently through the venue. There was something strangely triumphant about her expression, and the way she looked at the bride felt almost condescending. There was no doubt in my mind that she was the one who had prepared and delivered that envelope. I was certain, so I left Emily behind and approached Anna. "Are you Anna?" When I called out to her, she looked at me with suspicion.
Yes, I am. And who might you be?
"I'm Sarah's grandmother, Melissa. Are you not up to something?"
Up to something?
She scoffed and turned her eyes away from me.
What makes you think that?
"You were the one who put those photos with Ryan in the gift envelope, weren't you?" Emily, who had followed behind me, looked at Anna in shock. I quickly took the gift envelope from her hand and pulled out several of the photos to show. "These are proof of your affair with Ryan." Anna's face changed instantly, and she smiled slyly, her lips curling.
Oh, those? So you went ahead and opened it.
What is the meaning of this? What are you trying to do to my daughter's wedding?
Oh, is this the mom stepping in? This is hilarious.
Her attitude shifted to one of mockery, and she brazenly started to reveal everything.
Ryan was my junior in my high school. We were both in the tennis club. I've always had feelings for him, even after we graduated.
Did you only have feelings for him?
Of course, it'd be strange for a woman like me to confess. That's something men should do, right?
She had always admired him, sent him messages, given him gifts on his birthday, and whenever she returned home from college, they would always hang out. After becoming a working adult, they ended up working near each other, and she believed that he was beginning to see her in a different light. She had been chasing after him, waiting for him to ask her out.
But the humiliation I felt when I found out he chose that dull girl to marry, it was unbearable.
She bit her lower lip, as if asserting that she was superior.
That woman is an office worker. I'm a top-performing saleswoman. Obviously, I'm more suitable for him.
The fact that she called herself a top performer gave me a sense of why Ryan might not have chosen her. She continued to spew out her grievances against both Ryan and Sarah. Emily and I listened, stunned, and finally understood. Anna believed that Ryan had betrayed her, and she pitied herself for being sad, feeling sorry, and even pathetic. She had never confessed her feelings, had simply misunderstood, and now was acting like a tragic heroine. That was the impression I got. However, neither Emily nor I felt any sympathy for her. To an outsider, she just looked like a pitiful young woman. Have you ever been in love? Love makes people shine.
What?
She glared at me sharply.
I don't know anything about that. All I want is to break up Ryan and that boring girl. Then he'll be mine.
I doubted he would choose her. But I swallowed those words and decided to try to calm her down. This won't do you any good.
I know you're all on her side, but this is fate. Ryan is meant to be with me.
It seemed Emily had also had enough of her nonsense. She crossed her arms and stared intensely at Anna.
What makes you so sure of that?
My dad is wealthy, rich. Ryan would obviously be happier marrying me.
Just because of money, that doesn't guarantee happiness. Marriage isn't like that.
Shut up. Even his parents were delighted when they found out about my family's wealth. They wanted us to get married someday.
Maybe his parents think that, but you can't be sure what Ryan wants.
Anna was infuriated by Emily's words.
Huh? Fine then. I'm going to ruin this cheap wedding.
With that, Anna turned on her heel and disappeared into the crowd. The murmurs of the guests faded into the background, and I felt a fierce fire of anger burning in my heart. No matter what, I had to protect Sarah from her. Emily, with a stern expression, stared at the crowd where Anna had vanished. We had to act fast and do something about this. In just a few minutes, the bride and groom will make their entrance. Emily, we need to stop the ceremony for now. Can you tell the MC?
Leave it to me.
Emily ran to the MC's table, explained the situation, and had an announcement made. Sarah and Ryan were nowhere to be seen in the venue. They were probably in the waiting room.
Please continue to enjoy the reception for a little while longer.
After the announcement, Emily and I left the venue. As Emily led me toward the waiting room, we ran into Sarah.
Oh, both of you, is something wrong?
She asked, looking puzzled. We need to talk about something important. We urged Sarah to return to the waiting room. Once the three of us were in the bride's waiting room, Emily stood by the door to handle anyone who might come, while Sarah and I sat down in the back. Then, with trembling hands, I quietly took out the photos from the gift envelope. Sarah, this might be painful, but you need to face this for your future. I said this like it was a prelude to a ceremony, and handed her the stack of photos. She looked at me suspiciously before taking the photos and glancing through a few of them.
What is this?
Her face turned pale, and tears welled up in her blue eyes.
What does this mean? Grandma, this isn't true, right?
But I shook my head, telling her it was the truth. I also told her that Anna was at the venue. Sarah listened to me intently, looking like she might faint at any moment. Seeing her like this hurt me too. Why did I have to reveal something so painful to my precious granddaughter? By the time I finished speaking, her beautiful face was crumpled with her tears. Emily and I could do nothing but stay close to her as she sobbed, unable to form any words. Sarah, I understand how painful this is, but I paused. There was something that had been bothering me all along. Where did Ryan's true feelings lie? Before canceling the wedding, what if we found out what Ryan truly feels? Emily and Sarah both looked at me, stunned.
Mom, what are you saying?
Just like Sarah said earlier, we don't really know what Ryan feels. Anna just seemed to be chasing after him.
I want to know too. I can't just let it end like this.
Sarah said firmly, vowing to confront him and demand an explanation. I left Sarah behind and went alone to Ryan's room. He looked different from before, with a dark expression, as if weighed down by his thoughts. "It's been a while, hasn't it, Ryan?" When he noticed me, his eyes widened and his mouth moved soundlessly.
You're.
He looked at me as if to ask why I was there. "I spoke with your girlfriend, Anna. She said you'd be happier marrying her."
Anna said that. No, absolutely not.
He stood up from the chair he had been sitting in.
I love Sarah. Anna and I.
He trailed off, unable to finish his sentence. Ryan wiped the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief as I tried to speak to him earnestly. "Sarah is a precious granddaughter to me. Please, don't make her sad." He looked down, his expression conflicted, and said nothing. Slowly, I spoke to him, trying to make him understand. "Ryan, please, tell Sarah the truth." He closed his eyes for a few seconds, his face full of anguish, then let out a sigh and nodded slightly.
All right. I'll tell her the truth.
Ryan shrank a little, his head bowed as if he had resigned himself. With that, Ryan and I headed to the bride's room, where Sarah was standing tall, her posture resolute. When Ryan saw her tear-streaked face, his expression darkened. He seemed to regret something.
Sarah, I am truly sorry.
He began to speak, explaining everything one by one. He said that although he had known Anna since high school, being in the same club, he had only ever seen her as a senior. His job near her workplace was just a coincidence, and out of respect for her being his senior, he couldn't simply ignore her messages. Gradually, Anna's behavior escalated, to the point of becoming threatening. She had even gone to his parents' home uninvited and ingratiated herself with them.
In the end, she even started saying that she was the only one suitable for me.
Because of that, Ryan faced immense pressure from his parents, but he couldn't bring himself to confide in anyone and kept it all to himself.
Then why were you so cold to me?
Anna found out about you and said she couldn't stand how close we were. She threatened to harm you.
To protect Sarah, he had intentionally acted cold.
To be honest, I wasn't sure if we could even go through with the wedding in this situation. I thought about giving up, but
He looked Sarah straight in the eyes.
in the end, I can't imagine my life without you. I want to live my life with you, Sarah.
There wasn't a hint of deceit in his words or attitude. He truly cared about her from the bottom of his heart. Emily and I were, of course, surprised, but the most surprised of all was Sarah.
I'm sorry. I thought you were cheating on me, Ryan.
She looked down, embarrassed, her hand on her cheek.
No, it's all my fault. I made you feel insecure. I'm the one who needs to apologize.
"It's not your fault, Sarah," he said, comforting her. "So, are you planning to continue with the ceremony?"
I want to, but if Sarah doesn't want to, we can stop here.
All eyes in the room turned to Sarah. She had tears in her eyes again, and she looked directly at Ryan.
Let's continue. I want to believe in you.
I didn't miss the tears welling up in Ryan's eyes at her words. "Well then, let's head to the venue. Everyone is waiting." We collected ourselves and left the waiting room, heading back to the venue. As we reached the doors, we could hear some commotion from the slightly open door. Voices were saying things like, Give me the mic, and this wedding is going to be canceled anyway." The four of us exchanged glances. I had a bad feeling about this.
I think I heard my dad's voice.
And the other voice, that's Anna, isn't it?
Unable to hide our confusion, we decided to step into the venue for now. There, to our shock, Anna and Ryan's dad were causing a scene.
This is all a farce. Ryan doesn't even want this wedding.
It seemed that it was Anna who had taken the microphone from the MC. Ryan's dad, David, also held a microphone, speaking loudly.
"Sarah stole my son from Anna.
She took him away from me. Ryan and I were so in love.
The entire venue was in turmoil, murmuring and unsettled, trying to make sense of what was happening. I was left speechless as they lied so shamelessly. Emily and Sarah exchanged incredulous glances, unable to believe what they were seeing and hearing. Only Ryan ran towards them, trying to put an end to their tirade.
"Dad, Yana, what are you doing? Stop this right now."
What are you saying? This is for your own good. How can you leave someone as wonderful as Anna?
I used to respect Anna as my senior, but not anymore.
His words, spoken into the microphone in David's hand, echoed throughout the venue. I approached Anna. "Anna, you never truly saw Ryan, did you?"
What? I've always seen him. Don't belittle me.
"No, Ryan only had eyes for Sarah. He never saw you that way.
What are you trying to say?
You and David are both obsessed with money and status, but that alone doesn't make a marriage." The venue fell silent. Even David looked at me with a startled expression. Marriage is about the future, a future where two people live together. Both Sarah and Ryan have their own futures. No one has the right to take that from them. I spoke slowly but clearly, as if to advise her. In the now quiet hall, Anna seemed to waver slightly. I could see there was an internal struggle. She might be realizing she couldn't have Ryan. But unwilling to give up, she turned to him, pleading desperately.
Ryan, listen, I've only ever looked at you, unlike that dull woman over there. So please.
Ryan looked at her with a weary expression and spoke.
"Anna, don't speak ill of my bride."
His low voice froze Anna's expression. David also stood with his mouth agape, his face pale. The venue began to stir, with distrustful glances directed at Anna and David.
Don't say that. I mean, ever since high school, we've always...
Whether from sadness or desperation, Anna tried to reveal everything they had shared. But Ryan quickly interrupted.
"Let's end this. I love Sarah."
It was an unmistakable, firm rejection. Hearing such a clear statement, Anna finally seemed to give up, her shoulders slumping.
Fine. Have a happy life then.
Leaving those bitter words behind, she quietly left the venue. David seemed unable to find any words to say to her, and just averted his eyes, remaining silent. The only thing left was the awkward atmosphere in the room. The MC, who had been flustered after having her microphone taken, managed to regain her composure thanks to Emily's quick thinking. As we tried to get back on track, David once again started to cause a commotion.
Ryan, I taught you never to defy your parents. Marrying that woman.
But before he could continue, Ryan answered firmly, cutting him off.
It's my life. Who I marry is my decision.
What did you say?
I won't follow you and Mom's orders anymore.
As he strongly declared this, small applause began to spread from somewhere in the room. The applause gradually spread throughout the venue until it became a roaring ovation, enveloping Ryan. It seemed everyone agreed with his words. Not just for him. This applause was also for Sarah. Ryan strode over to Sarah and took her hand.
Sarah, I want to say it again.
What?
Will you marry me today?
Without any hesitation, he said it. What would the bride say? Everyone present held their breath, waiting.
Yes, of course.
In that instant, the room erupted with cheers and applause. Congratulations. Blessings to you both. Happy wedding. Voices shouted their well wishes as the two embraced each other warmly. Ryan's co-workers, his boss, and other acquaintances rushed over, even lifting him in celebration. Despite the earlier commotion, the wedding and reception that day ended smoothly. The sky was a clear blue, blessing the happy couple. About a month later, Sarah started calling and going out with me again occasionally. It seemed married life was going well, and her happiness shone brightly. When we talked at that cafe, she mentioned that Ryan's parents still hadn't come to terms with everything. But at that wedding, there were many people at the ceremony who were closely related to his parents. As a result, David lost credibility and was now looked upon unfavorably. Ryan was reportedly furious and decided to cut ties with his parents. And what about Anna? Sarah sipped her coffee and shrugged her shoulders.
Well, Ryan apparently had a chance to talk to someone from Anna's company.
It seemed Anna hadn't been showing up to work since the day of the wedding, missing day after day. Her social media was filled with numerous sad poems about her heartbreak, clearly mourning her lost love. Even now, without her obsession, she continued to play the tragic heroine. Since the incident at the wedding, Sarah and Ryan had made sure not to keep anything bottled up, even the smallest things, and always talk them through. Whenever Ryan had to work late or was too busy, he always made an effort to set aside time for her.
Mom said the secret to a happy marriage is communication.
Oh, it looks like she passed on the very advice I gave her. I couldn't help but laugh.
What? What is it, Grandma?
Oh, it's nothing. We continued to chat, laughing together. A few days later, I talked to Emily over the phone about how well Sarah and Ryan's marriage was going.
At one point, I really didn't know what would happen, but I'm glad it all worked out.
From now on, we need to support the two of them. The younger generation is our hope. I can only wish that their future is bright and full of happiness. And a year from now, we still wouldn't know that Sarah and Ryan would have a new addition to their family.